The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps. The cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the Riff Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm actually at home tonight. I'm a little storm stayed. It's a bit nasty out there tonight with the snow here in Ontario. But so I have a guest on tonight. His name is Wayne McDonald. He is actually from California. And I'll tell you a little bit about him, that he is a master intergenerational healer. He's the founder of Family Dynamics Method, also the founder of the New Thought Medicine 5.0, about healing the mind and then healing the body. So he does have 25 years in healing. Certified crystal Reiki healer. He works with Tibetan bowls for sound healing. I met Wayne, I guess it was back in February. We were in a spiritual group for energy work, and it was a business building group that we were in. So that's how I met Wayne, and he is a great leader. So I'm going to bring him in and we can talk about his new thought medicine here. Welcome, Wayne.
Thank you, Cindy.
How are you doing?
I'm doing much better after hearing your weather.
Yes, it's not great. Not
I know. Great. Well, I tell you, I call it one of our things that we like to celebrate is Thanksgiving, because what we like to do here in California, we know that we usually have 75, 80 degree weather in Thanksgiving. So we purposely call people like in New York and say, so how's your Thanksgiving? Oh, you're having some snow. So sorry. We're sitting outside having Thanksgiving. Yeah. So sometimes we get a little arrogant here in our weather, but nice to be here this evening. And
I'm happy to have you on, because I believe myself that the energy of the thoughts that we have really changes how we feel internally. And I know that can sit in your field if you are having negative thoughts about yourself, and it's not just about yourself, it's your whole energy, right?
Yes.
So why don't we get into that? What you were talking about, the healing and the transformation.
Okay. Well, to give you a little bit of a background on myself, we talk about this new thought movement and new thought. There is different, I'm not quite sure about Canada on where the new thought and spiritual churches are. I know that there is Ernest Holmes and Science of Mind. And Science of Mind is now called Centers for Spiritual Living. And I am a licensed practitioner with the Centers of Spiritual Living, and we do affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. And that is a lot of reasons why I always watch my languaging and I really listen to how people speak. I know that as an example, a lot of times when we had COVID happening here, a lot of people are like, what's going to happen to my job, and what's going to happen tomorrow, and and I would look at them and say, what do you know today? What is your truth? Let's come back to the present moment, because the past is past and the future's not here, and you got to be in the present moment. Right. And this idea of watching your language, that is always being present and aware and conscious of what you're saying. If you're having a health issue, you don't want to take complete ownership. You might say, I'm experiencing something that appears like a cold, but to say, I am sick, you're affirming that.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what I have found. Well, I have had a little bit of sinus troubles that are coming and going. I think it's a lot to do with the weather as well. Could be a clearing with the third eye as well. Regardless, whatever it is, I always try to say that I am healing from this. And so that I'm not putting myself in that energy of being unwell. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And also, like, that kind of puts you into the fear as well, right?
Well, fear, and also you're not in, you're out of your center. You're not in the, you're working from the ego, from fear, and it doesn't allow the possibility of healing at all.
Right.
But, and the idea about new thought teaching and new thought medicine is to say, I am healthy, whole, and complete, is to affirm and know that, because you want to focus on what you want. You don't want to be sick. You want to be healthy. And the honest truth is, even with a cold, health is still there. The idea is to reveal what is always true. So the same thing, I may have money in my pocket today, but that doesn't mean I'm coming from a place of lack. I have to be aware that I am abundant, and I do know that there is abundance and prosperity always around me.
Right.
And some of this too, I want to kind of bring another one in, is this idea about prosperity and abundance and financial abundance. There's other little sneaky things you have to be aware. Now, I do catering, and sometimes after we've done a job, they say, well, we have some extra food left over. Anybody want to take it home? Now, some people take food home, which is okay, because it's like, well, yes, I could share this with some friends. But other people might say, I'm going to take home, let's say, all the food. And that's when you start looking and going, wait a minute, am I taking this because I'm coming from lack, that I don't have enough? Those are the sneaky things you have to be careful of.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, I agree. So, and just to point out on something that you had said too, about being whole and in that perfect state is that's something that I do when I start doing a Reiki treatment as well, because I believe we all are at that perfect state and we all are aligned in the original state. And at points in time, we have been shifted and pulled out of harmony. And what we are trying to do is move that back into harmony. So we are aligned, but we're being pulled, right? And that's how
Yes.
I visualize it as well, too.
It's very true. And always, as a healer, we are, as the shaman would say, we're holding space for the client to know the highest and best. We are there to know that they are healthy, they're whole, and there's healing already happening.
Exactly. Yeah, because when we see without judgment, we see them as the whole person, right? And I think that's
Yes.
where a lot of this compassion comes from. I'm going to pop into the chat here.
Okay.
And just say hello to the people that are watching here.
Okay, good.
Okay. So we have.
Looks like we've got Michelle.
Yes.
Renee.
Okay, so,
and Denise. Hello.
Yes. And so Renee has us shared out, which is thank you very much. Michelle also has a show on Rift Nation. She's on YouTube. Her haunted apartment. So if anyone wants to check that out. And Denise, hello, Denise. Thank you for watching. And yes, happy last Monday of 2025. So we have to say Happy New Year at the end tonight too. And Denise is also saying, oops, yeah, our words are spells. Yeah. So these affirmations, and you call them prayers as well, right? Like,
yes,
the affirmations are, yeah, like that just goes to the core. So we're putting that out into our energy field. And if it goes past our energy field out to others, that's even better, right? So we want to keep those affirmations in our Taurus field, right? And the more that we repeat that, it's circling.
Well, it's also the law of circulation.
Right.
Because I know that as I heal and I'm healthy, whole, and complete, I know for you. And so it's that it is always an exchange, that because I am so deep and steeped into this teaching that like one of the things I say is God is my source and substance of my supply.
Right.
Now, it sounds like a really basic statement, but when I say that, it isn't just prosperity, it isn't health, it's everything. And I know that when I say that, I know that my paycheck doesn't come from a pension, it doesn't come from my employer. I know where it's coming from, that universal energy.
Right.
And when I talk about health, all of these in my life are woven together, because the law of circulation is in that place of abundance, but it is also in that phrase of God is the source and substance of my supply. And it also means that's where my clients come from, is from that. There is different ways of to embody these teachings.
Yes. And so saying that, so anyone here who so saying God can be what we believe in, right? Now,
Yes.
And God is within you as well. So it's that light, it's that spark inside of us. So it's that spark inside of us that is our God for some people who may be
Yes.
watching here as
And
well.
and I myself, I use the God word because I am comfortable with it and I understand what God means to me and how
Right.
I use that. And it's a word.
Yeah.
So if we say source is the source and substance of my supply or universal energy, it's to me the same.
Right.
I just use them interchangeably. And that's the same reason why I say we use the word treatment, which it's a spiritual mind treatment. And, because some people, you say prayer and they're, oh, people have different reactions to words.
Right.
And even something to say you're a light worker, people may not know what that means or like, oh, you're one of those people. So, so we have to be comfortable to embrace whatever we want to describe ourselves, but also know that it's just a word. All of these
Yeah.
are words, and they have no meaning until we put the energy into it. Whether it's fear or it's confusion or it's that's a nice warm fuzzy word.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, we've been using, like, as Denise was saying too, that words are spells. Like you say happy birthday, you sing happy birthday to people all the time, right?
Yes.
Like that. It's the same kind of idea, maybe not to the extent that we're talking here for healing, but yeah, just the power of the words themselves. But so can you tell me a little bit too, because when we were talking before, that it's a lot about the positive thoughts, like Eckhart Tolle. We were talking about Wayne Dyer as well. So it's a combination. But now you were talking about it being in the 1830s.
Yes, it actually, yes. What that was about, the New Thought movement goes all the way back. And it actually was, let me find his name here. It was Phineas Parkhurst Quimby. Back in 1830s, he actually started the New Thought movement. And there's been a lot of people from that. I would even put Louise Hayes in there. It could be Michael Beckwith from the Agape movement. And there's, of course, Ernest Holmes, and there's a whole lot other people. But Quimby is the one that kind of started using the word New Thought. And he was describing with the work he did, a spiritual mind treatment for healing. He used the word New Thought medicine when he was just, people would come from, and he would declare that they're right in perfect health by doing spiritual mind treatment.
Right.
And we're
Now,
using the same thing nowadays. We're, if anything, here we are 200 years later, and it still works. But the good thing is that what I'm doing is applying, not just using the words, but also putting in quantum healing ideas into that, and also using guided meditation, working with the subconscious, and also doing epigenetics, which is working at the cellular and the DNA level
right.
for healing.
Right. So, and the epigenetics is like very much affected by our thoughts.
Yes.
When you work or do anything with Joe Dispenza, you are changing your perspective on what you are seeing, your perspective on yourself, and healing. So yeah, I can see similarities there for sure. I'm going to just say hello to a couple more people. So
Yes.
So Mish is from Australia here. She's saying hello to us. And Heidi, Heidi is here. She is from Boulder, Colorado. She is a very good follower of Riff Nation. And I think that's it for right now.
Well, and I'll say hi to Mishi because I have, in fact, the way that we're talking, Cindy and I were, we got together ourselves, and we met through Sheila.
Yeah.
And Sheila is has a book. It is Brave something. I should know about. But Sheila is the one that introduced us, and she is from Australia. And several of her students that we were online with were from Australia.
Yes.
So, and it was kind of interesting. I call it time traveling because we would meet Tuesday. Well, for me, it was Tuesday at 5 p.m.
Thursday, and then it was Friday for
yes.
Yeah.
So we're talking to the future. It was very strange. It was always, and of course, one of our other students was in Romania. So
that's right too.
Yeah. And my web designer is in the Philippines, which was about a 12-hour difference. So that was really very entertaining, trying to find out how to talk to people and figuring out what their time zone were. It's almost like the back in the 80s when people say, "What is your sign?" Now we talk. Now that we're doing all of these things online, it's like, what time zone are you?
Yeah, exactly. And Linda is on here. Thank you for watching, Linda. She is from Washington. I bet Vermont can get 1 million fans before any other state can.
Now, Cindy, I want to also add something that I just found out interesting about epigenetics, because not only when we're looking at family trauma, is that not only can you inherit things from your mother and father, you could also inherit things from your grandparents. Now here's an interesting thought, and there's a more deep research to explain this. But before your mother was born, her, which is your grandmother, already had the egg, was already programmed for your mother and for you. So even before you were born, it was already programmed before your mother.
Wow. Yeah, I have heard, no, so I'm not sure if it was studies have shown, like, is it seven generations maybe?
Well, actually, yes,
reading something there too. It's either 5 or 7. But I talk a lot. I'm noticing that a lot. When I do energy work as well, because if I find something, on the mother's side, like often, and more for the biofield tuning too, right?
Yes.
Because it's not that you have an issue with your mother. It could be because you were in your mother, she could have had safety issues when she was carrying you. There might be things that are brought forward that you aren't aware of because she's never said, and she might not even really be aware of it herself, right?
Correct.
But also with that, did you, there's something about, they were doing testing on people's blood, and they would take this blood sample to another room, and people would do a reaction, and the change, so your blood was changing frequency in another room as you were in this room, and that your blood is actually living still outside of you. Yeah, so interesting. So
yes, I know. Well, when I do energy work, I generally and we're following about the same thing, because I generally do when I start the deep work, I definitely go like 3 generations, and I will go like up to 5, but you can get a good chunk of it cleared on energy work on 3 generations. And I also make sure that when I do this work, I always do it past, present, and future, because
Right.
things will shift, because time is just imaginary. But so if it's necessary, you can always do up to, uh, 5 generations. And let me see if we got.
So Linda's saying, yes, we
How
so
does
inherit
that?
their memories in
Okay,
ourselves.
so how does that work with adoptive children? Now that is a good question, because one of the things when I first, I'll kind of make this story short. I was doing crystal Reiki and energy work. I do channeling work. I work with guides and angels, and all of a sudden, I normally wake up at 6 a.m. and do my meditation. And I have I call very cute, very amusing guides. They wake me up at 5:55 a.m. Just to make sure I'm meditating. Well, one time they woke me up at 4:45 a.m. and rushed me to my meditation chair, and I proceeded to download and channel family dynamics and the healing work I was to do. And I said, "Oh, it couldn't have been advanced Reiki work. It couldn't have been." I said, "What is intergenerational trauma?" So I had to learn this. And as I was learning and coming up to speed with my guides on the healing work I was doing, I said, well, we got to look at the family dynamics here, because I can't say I'm going to heal father 1, father 2, mother 1, mother 2. Oh, we got adopted children. Oh, we also have you were raised by your grandparents. So I had to find a way to do the healing work that it could be, I call kind of generic, but still work. And with the interesting thing about adopted children, and this came out recently in the last 15 years, is that sometimes dealing with family dynamics, somebody may not know that they were adopted.
Yeah.
And so you are trying to do some healing work, and it's not meshing with that. Now, one of the things that had happened recently, I say in the last 15 years, everybody says, oh, this sounds like fun. Let's find about where my family came from. And people are doing these DNA tests to find out find out the history of their family. Well, all of a sudden they find out that they were raised by this mother and father, and actually mother had an affair. And she didn't tell anybody. And then the child finds out that they actually have another mother when they speak to the family and says, well, who's my parents? Or they confront the mother, and say, I have some indication that you're not my mother.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden the family turns on the person. So that's also a complication of family dynamics. And so there's ways to look at these things.
I think you would you would do the healing that you would feel, and if the information that you're giving them, if it doesn't resonate, then that's okay, but you're still doing the work and doing some clearing for them, and then they may find out afterwards. But as far as and I was adopted, and I believe that that a lot of that work usually is done in the later years, right?
Yes.
In
Yes.
your adult years, when you are doing that healing work. And what I was going to say about, I feel that we as souls came in knowing that we were going to be adopted and not with that family, and chose that path and to go through all of those things is
Yes.
how I feel about it. And eventually, when you get into this work, these things become okay with you, right?
Yes. One thing I would mention, that family dynamics work that I do is not group therapy, and it is basically one-on-one. I do the energy work with one person, and the rest of the family doesn't have to know what's going on, or is it necessary. And the other part about this is that one of the elements I work with is Saint Germain and the violet flame. And the violet flame does the work. All I am is the channel, and the violet flame knows with the person I'm working with. The violet flame in Saint Germain knows where to clear out any old channels, any things that are any contracts or anything in the past. Saint Germain knows, because we're working with the subconscious. We're working in a higher dimension of energy, and I don't need to know, and even the client doesn't need to know what is being cleared. We just look for anything that is out of disharmony,
Right.
and let the violet flame transform that energy back into the earth and back into positive energy.
Now, is Saint Germain, is he the one who, when his parents passed away, he had the money, he donated the money and went off, and he was doing healing? Is he that?
That sounds pretty close, because he did come from a family of money.
Yes. And gave it all to maybe his other siblings, or to people, the needy who needed it. And then he went off and lived a very simple life. I think that's the story of Saint Germain. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, and it's interesting because of the work I did with Sheila. There are different ways, claircognizance and clairvoyance, and all of those different ones. The one that one of my qualities, I am not a psychic, and I've never been trained as a psychic, but I have always felt that I had a very, very strong intuitive sense. And after the work I did for 6 months with Sheila, my normal way of sensing things is I know. The information comes to me, I know. Mm-hmm. My least common one is visually seeing. And because of the work I did with Sheila, that sense of seeing is much stronger than it used to be. And for me, it was very interesting because sometime last year, I was supporting a family that somebody was in transition, and two of us were doing Reiki work on the patient that was at the hospital. And I could clearly see Saint Germain standing at the foot of bed. Now, normally I would just sense and know that he was there, but I clearly saw him standing at the bed. And at the time, I didn't know who the guide was. And when I first asked the person that was standing in a tan robe, it's like, who are you? No answer. I had like, who are you? And about 30 minutes later, I had a conference. I finally did get the name and found out it was Saint Germain. And since I've connected with him since, I found that's his personality. He's it's kind of like, well, you should know who I am. It's like, well, I don't know who you are. Could you tell me who it is?
Oh,
So,
that's so neat. That's so neat.
yes.
So
So let's
he's
say, yeah,
working with you.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at our chat here, and I guess, yes, dealing with family dynamics, there is those hidden things in there. I mean, it could be sperm donations. It can be, there's so much, we all know about the, you could possibly even go a little bit of a stretch dealing with family dynamics and talk about organ transplants, because they've already done studies on that, and they already know that somebody will get an organ donation, and all of a sudden they go from eating Mediterranean and now they're eating Chinese. So all of those things at first could look like it could be a challenge. How am I supposed to deal with sperm donations or adoptions? Or how do I deal with not knowing who the parents were? And how do you do energy work with that? So the good news about energy work is that the healing is going to happen.
Yes.
Is to know that it is definitely going to happen. And as I'll say for myself, as a healer, I don't need to know how it's going to happen. I trust my guides. As I like to describe the work that healers do, the way I see as myself, you have a lamp that is plugged into the wall and the light bulb goes on. I'm not the energy source in the wall, and I'm not the light bulb. I am the cord in the middle. I am the channel.
Okay, yeah.
And so plugging in, that is source. That is whatever you want to call source, universal energy, whatever you want. And the light bulb is the client.
Right.
And when I work with a client, the kind of work that I would say that all of us tend to do is, it's not Western medicine. Western medicine is fix me. And if I'm looking for a client, I'm not looking for somebody with a fix me attitude. I want a client that is proactive. And I don't mean doing a lot of homework, but I want them, instead of sitting back in their chair with their arms folded and saying, fix me, I want them to at least understand and participate to a point that we're co-creating here.
Right.
And I always like to be with somebody that is proactive, that you may not need to.
I think people are drawn to you with that interest. There seems to be very, very few that come and say, oh, this is too much for me. Usually they're coming, maybe they're called to, or they've had this interest in it too, right? Do you
Yes.
think?
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely, because if I'm doing my work and I'm working with my guides, and all healers are at different levels of, I know my guides. Now, some healers, I remember going to, let's say, someplace in Mexico, and they had a health spa. I could sense at that time when somebody was doing massage work on me, I could sense what level of healing. And I could tell that sometimes somebody working on me is like, well, okay, they're coming into their intuition, but they don't quite know what they're sensing yet.
Okay.
And so as a healer, if I'm working with my guides, they already know they're sending me the clients who are ready to be healed, that matches my energy, that my level of skill matches what they need. So I trust the universe that when I declare and say I have 10 or more quality clients per week and 3 or more per day, that those clients will come forth. When
Right.
I did massage work, everybody would say, well, how could you be in Los Angeles, California, with all these massage therapists how can you compete with all these people and still have enough clients? And I would say there's no competition. I need 10 clients a week. I ask for 10 clients a week. I get them.
Yeah.
The first time that I started doing my affirmations, I said I have 10 or more quality clients per week. Well, I got 21 phone calls in one day.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, that's nice. That's very funny. I appreciate it. I had to be conscious. Not only I had to be aware when you use affirmation, you have to be aware not only what you're asking for, but you need to be aware you receive it and make sure that you said it right. So after I said I got those 21 phone calls, I said, okay, I want 10 or more per week, 3 or more per week, per day. And you do the math and you put them in where you need to, and that leveled
so
it off.
That is your new thought medicine too, like the manifesting. So what you need to survive, what you need to exist and to continue. So the more that you do for helping, being of service, assisting others, the more that rolls back to you too, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And always come from that place of gratitude. Is that, again, you're talking about the simple phrasing is that I know that this is an abundant universe. And that abundance means that there is more than enough clients for myself and for everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
And it's, and knowing that is always true. There is no competition. That is knowing that, that not only am I asking people to come forth to me as clients, but I'm also knowing that they are prosperous and abundant. Not prosperous in the sense that, okay, I'm looking for your income. I want your money. No, I'm focusing on the healing work. The money just is a secondary energy that comes to me. And to know that my clients are prosperous and abundant, and whatever I decide to charge for a fee, that client is going to say, well, thank you. That's a fair price.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. And I have never, so I'm not sure what the prices are. Sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm charging too much, and I'll just, unless it's written on the website or something like that, I'll just say a number. But usually they give you more because they are grateful, right?
Yes.
Afterwards too.
Well, that's also, I call your prosperity client, or because anytime I do, let's say, catering work, I do banquet service, I always declare what you want. And I always say that I know that whatever this job I'm doing today, it's one with ease and harmony, that is prosperous and abundant. Even if I know that this hotel will never tip, I still will say, I know that I'm prosperous and abundant, and that I am paid above and beyond what I'm being paid, and that there's tips or other unexpected income in everything that I do. Just declare, just keep on, and just declaring what you want. What do you want to? In fact, part of this idea of New Thought medicine is, do you roll out of bed and just start your day? Or when you wake up, do you set your day? Do you declare to the universe how you want your day to unfold? Do you want to have love and joy in your day? Do you want ease and harmony? Or it's just like, I'll just take my best shot and see what happens when I get on the freeway? One of the things that I do, I have a prayer partner, and we set the tone every morning at 7:30 a.m. And we do that Monday through Saturday. We do it 6 days a week, and we see each other in church. And I've been with her for 15 years. And there's times that, okay, I have to be someplace early in the morning, so we'll just text. But we've been doing it religiously, which is a spiritual practice, we do it all the time and set the tone what you want. And I end my day with gratitude, giving thanks for all the good that has been demonstrated.
Yeah. It becomes routine, right? And
yes.
Yeah. And when, if something, if your day changes and those things don't allow, you sure feel it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then it's just, you really have to, we are the ones that are co-creating our lives. And if you don't like somebody, if it's somebody that's you're working with that isn't, you don't mesh with, you don't work well with, ask yourself, what is it? Either I have to learn here, or is there something that they're mirroring back to me? What is it, their behavior, that maybe I need to clear in my own self? And that's part of New Thought medicine, is always be conscious of your wording and also the people you work with. And also, did you set the tone? You know, it's like, oh, I know this is going to be a really crappy day. Well, sure, that's a great that's a great way to start your day. Mm-hmm. So it's not just being in the little happy place all the time. It's to know that you want to live your best life, or you want to live a better life. You know, where do you want?
So I want to put up one more. I usually wing it. Maybe this is where I'm going wrong. I think she's kidding. Which one? Michelle, she's saying I usually wing it, and she says maybe this is where I'm going wrong. I wanted to also say.
Well, I would also say there's nothing wrong with winging it if we put into that divine flow. There's nothing wrong with winging it. In fact, most of us are trying to paddle upstream. Why not? It's like you can say, I use the phrase which came from Marie Nemeth: clarity, focus, ease, and grace. So how do you want to learn the lesson? Do you want to learn the lesson being dragged with your fingernails, or do you want to learn the lesson with clarity, focus, ease, and grace?
Yeah.
So if you're asking for something, how do you want to learn the information? I sometimes say, I need right and perfect solution today. And if I'm a little slow, could you just make sure I see it clearly and do it nicely and nudge me and make sure that I get the message? And it's like, you don't need to send a truck, to hit my car to get me the message. You could easily send me the message in a nice way that I can understand it. Thank you.
Sorry, I had to turn that on mute. My dog is whining in the background, and I'm hoping people don't hear that. This is the downfall of being at home here. So I want to see if I can share my screen here, because you obviously do a lot of Zoom
yes,
one-on-ones with people and things like that. So let me just see if I can share my screen.
And I find it really, because so much of my work is Zoom, I find it so interesting that I have some clients that are local, and they say, well, can we just meet in person? And to me, it's pretty weird doing guided meditation in person because I'm so used to doing long distance work.
Oh, yes.
Because it's not so much about face to face, but it's like I can usually connect much quicker and easier without any distraction. I can just go, okay, let's connect with the guides and let's go and do it.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to share this here.
Okay.
So can you see that there?
Yes. So if anybody would like to find me, my name is Wayne McDonald, and this is not a typo. It's Wayne McDonald, And I am also on Facebook. And again, it's Wayne McDonald. I had to sneak a number in there. So it's Wayne, Wayne, the number 1, McDonald. And I started a Facebook group, and that group is New Thought Medicine. You're going to see a whole lot of variety of things in there. It will be some things that I followed and share, and some of it will be affirmative prayer work. You might even see something that might be I do use oracle cards, and that's a whole nother kind of discussion about oracle cards. I find it was interesting when I started those about 5 or 8 years ago, that the cards will always speak to you. You kind of wonder at times if you've never worked with oracle cards. There's tarot cards, and oracle cards. Oracle cards have a theme, and with the oracle cards, whatever deck you might choose, it amazes me. You can shuffle those cards 3 times, tap the cards 3 times, and gosh, I just got the same card 3rd time this week. And it's like, you must be really serious and want me to. Let me read this description again and understand what I'm missing here. And then I will say, okay, I got it. So there's ways to, all of us, I would say for everybody on this listening tonight, is really listen to your intuition. Your intuition is always speaking to you, and you just tune into that. If you're driving your car and it says go right turn and you're planning to go another block and make a left, if it says go right, go right. Listen to your guides. Listen to your intuition, because the more that you listen and respond, the more, if you listen to your guides, just say thank you. I heard it and I recognize it. And the more that you acknowledge it and give gratitude, that opens the doors to your guides and for more communication, because all they're trying to do, as I kind of describe it, is we're here and we're just trying to adjust our frequency. We're dialing in, and they're trying to dial in to us and give us information. And
they know we're ready for it, right?
And yes, they know we're ready for it, and they will give it to you in different ways. It can be, it could be those simple thing as 333. It can be, my guides know that I work with animal totems, and animal totems isn't just the bird flying over your head. I have to tell you, I was on the freeway. Every truck in front of me was a Ram truck. It was a Dodge Ram. It wasn't a Ford, it was a Chevy. I had like 5 Ram trucks at different times on my drive. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Another of the weirdest ones that I got on an animal guide, I am in a 2nd floor apartment. And I found in the bathroom was about a 2-inch earthworm in the bathroom. How in the heck did the earthworm get there? Now, did I see this? I saw this earthworm, and I moved him back outside. Now, how does an earthworm get upstairs, knowing how quickly they move? I actually saw 3 or 4 earthworms in 2 weeks in the bathroom.
And so, what were you getting from that?
I actually Googled it. I finally said, okay, I got the joke. I finally got it. And I don't remember now but when I went and checked on Google for earthworm, because I finally go, okay, this isn't just something random.
No.
It's like, I got it now. I got it. After the 3rd earthworm, it's like, I got the joke.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and I got the message. So they'll find a way. It could be on the radio. It can be a bumper sticker. Somebody says license plate numbers. The more that you look at that, I remember one time I'm very prosperous and abundant and great in manifesting. And I remember since I take the metro train, I used to always find change on the ground. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing dimes. And I thought, oh, you decided to give me a raise. No, I looked it up. Dimes has a different message. So the more awareness you have, the more that they'll send you messages. I know that one of the ones that most people don't have sensitivity to is what I call taste. When you're receiving messages,
Yeah.
anytime my father comes through, I can taste Dr. Pepper.
Wow.
And it's because he drank Dr. Pepper.
Mhm.
And it's not the most common way, but it's like if they want to really get your attention, your guides will start doing things like that. And,
yeah.
And I would always say, even like myself, I have what I call a knowing. I usually feel what I call a presence. So know that I've never, of all of the, I'd say 30 plus years of channeling and working with guides, I have never run into, I call a dark energy or anything. I've run everything I've always kept. If you're always working with the light, it's there. You will always be safe. And if you ever feel a little bit out of sort, just call in Archangel Michael or just call in your guardian angel. Even if you know who they are, you don't know who they are, just call them in. You just say, please protect me, surround me with love. That's all you need to do. But the more that you do that and sense the presence. I know that I was sitting on the bed one time and I could feel a presence at my feet. And I said, okay, so who's there? It was Dino, my dog, when I was 5. So everybody has a different way of receiving information. It could be hot or cold. It could even feel like somebody is brushing the back of your neck. It can be, it could be a gut feeling, and not a horrible gut feeling, but
it can be an imprint. Like you may be walking down the street and you may see your loved ones or a different face for a split second.
Yes.
Or long enough, right? That's happened to me a few times. And then the person is gone. So then you're kind of, but it's enough. It's noticeable enough that you're going to know. They'll give it to you so that you're aware. Yeah. Wow, we got busy here. So Keith is on here. He has the show right before me. And so I saw this pop up too, because I was thinking that about with the worm, about, a little bit at a time, take things slow. And I was thinking grounding. And then I saw that Keith put that in there too. I'm getting behind on these. We got a lot of comments.
Well, yes.
So I might have to have you back on another time, Wayne, because we didn't really get into the process. We kind of covered the basics a bit. But so maybe late January or even February, I'll have you back on again.
Yes. Well, my background is very broad on things, and quite honestly, and I know we're like just about off here, is that I know that this working with guides and angels, that to know that it's like the people that are coming through, we all have a spirit family, and sometimes those whatever is coming through is for a reason, and they may have something very specific that they want to share. And it's always, angels and guides will always be bringing positive, uplifting messages.
Yes.
If you're getting negative messages or just some bad talk, you're listening to ego mind. You're in the wrong channel. Is all
Okay.
that is.
Okay. Or maybe you yourself are a little off balance. Is that what you're meaning? I guess.
Well, you could be off balance and really not filtering it correctly. Is that it? Yeah, that is possible. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Well, it's been fun, Cindy. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so grateful for you to come on, and I thank you very much for everyone in the chat. And I'm sorry I didn't keep up on all the comments, but yeah, that's been wonderful, Wayne. I'm really happy that you came on, and we did have your email and contact information up there.
Yes.
So if anyone messages looking for more information, I will send them your way too.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And and we'll be in touch.
It was a delight to be here.
Yes. Well, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me. We'll
Okay.
do it again.
Yeah. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you again.
Bye-bye. Whoops, I guess I am sorry about that. I'm going to pop back on because I wanted to say Happy New Year to everyone, and we will see you next week. Thank you.